That is so satisfying. This is a great thing to let the kids do if they want to help in the kitchen. But just make sure that they don't break the bag or it's going to look like Happy New Year with confetti all over the place and pasta all over your countertop and your floor. Whew, that feels good after a bad day. Okay, those are ready. The thing with the box is you don't have to do that. You just kind of dump it in and they're ready to go. Both types of fideo taste pretty much the same, but it really depends on your mood. If you really want to crush something, I would get the nested ones. Hey y'all, I'm Melissa Guerra. I am the Kitchen Wrangler, and today we're going to be making sopa de fideo. Sopa de fideo is this old ranch dish. It's kind of a stew made out of noodles, and I loved it when I was a kid. All of my friends enjoyed it. It's just one of these old-timey dishes, and yeah, actually it's even older than I am, if you can believe it. But it's an oldie and a goodie. So if you're ready, let's get started on our sopa de fideo. I had to go sleuth out a little bit of history on fideo, which is the pasta that's used for sopa de fideo. The history of fideo sort of hovers around Spain, around the time when the Moors were there. So the first time that it was referred to in literature was around the year 1300. And pretty much the history stopped there. I couldn't really find the absolute root of this word fideo because, you know, if you look at word roots, you can figure out where stuff came from. We do know that it has a lot of Mediterranean influence, and then it just took off in Spain and Portugal and France. It is still a very popular dish there, and then the colonists brought it to the New World where it as well took over. So it is just one of the best known dishes across Latin America and across Western Europe. In fact, I would bet that fideo was one of the first foods that the colonists brought to the New World. Fideo is a pasta, meaning it is originally a paste that's spread very thinly and then cut into little strips, which are noodles, and that is a way of preserving food. So out of all the pastas that I'm familiar with, fideo is cut the most thin. It is very, very small, which means two things. One, it'll dry very quickly during its manufacturing process. And two, it cooks very quickly. So I think it would have been a great dish for the colonists to have brought with them for cooking on the ship or here in the New World. It's kind of like old-fashioned fast food. Here in modern-day South Texas, there are two ways that I am familiar with for making sopa de fideo. Now there's a sopa seca, which is much drier. It's more of a noodle stew. And then there's a regular sopa de fideo, which is much more soupy. We call it either caldudo or caldoso. It is just wetter, it's soupier, but it's not quite a soup. It just has more broth in it. I know there's a lot of you out there that make fideo at home, and you're probably yelling at your screen right now, no, you're making it all wrong. I know. You know, since fideo has been made since around the year 1300, there are thousands and thousands of different personal tweaks that people have put on this dish. Every family has their secret recipe. I am interested in every single one of them, so if you don't mind, put your comment down below on this video here on YouTube because I really do want to hear what you do to make your special fideo. But let's get started on my way. We're going to start first with the sopa seca. Heat a straight-sided sauté and add a little bit of vegetable oil, and we're going to sauté some onions until they're translucent. In the sopa seca recipe, I'm going to use a brand of fideo that is sold in a box. And this is very convenient because the fideos are cut very short, so it cooks even more quickly. Add the uncooked noodles to the pan, and we're gonna let them toast until they're lightly golden brown. Now this does two things. One, it gives it an amazing flavor, so delicious. And two, it keeps the noodle together while you are simmering it. It's a great technique. Once the noodles are golden brown, we're going to remove them from the heat and we're going to make our flavored broth. If you go back and watch my video on making Mexican style rice, you're gonna recognize the similarity of the techniques that I'm using for making sopa de fideo. Add 2 cups of chicken stock to your blender, add a clove of garlic and a tomato that has been cut into quarters, and puree it well. I prefer to use chicken stock instead of a powdered consommé because the powdered consommes, in my opinion, get a little bit sticky and gummy. I like fresh chicken stock, and if you don't make fresh chicken stock at home, you can always use boxed chicken stock that you buy from the supermarket. Return the pan of noodles to the heat and add your flavored stock. We're gonna add a whole chile serrano, which will not add any spice as long as we don't chop it up. Leave it whole and it'll give a really great flavor without adding a ton of spice. We're gonna simmer the sopa seca for 10 minutes until most of the chicken stock has reduced. We know that the sopa seca is ready once we can run the spoon across the pan and we can see the bottom of the pan through the fideo. And that's it for our sopa seca. 10 minutes, pretty easy. Now let's move on to the more brothy version of sopa de fideo. And in this recipe, we're going to be using the type of fideo that's sold in little nested coils. And these are very convenient, but you do have to break them up before you make your fideo. Traditionally, fideo has very short noodles, not long ramen style noodles. They're very short. Just like your sopa seca, we're going to saute those onions in a little bit of vegetable oil. In this recipe, we're also going to add cubes of potatoes. Potatoes are very traditional in any fideo recipe. Add them to your pan so that they can brown. The nests of fideo need to be broken up before they're added to the pan, but we're going to brown them just like we did in the sopa seca de fideo. Once the potatoes are browned and the fideo is toasted, we're going to remove it from the heat and make our flavored broth. This time we're going to add double the amount of chicken stock, 1 garlic, and the quartered tomato. Puree well, return the pan to the heat, and pour in your flavored broth. Let's add about 8 ounces of pre-cooked shredded chicken. This is going to make this version of sopa de fideo a little bit more hearty, more of a meal than a side dish. Add the whole chile serrano to give it some extra flavor. Season with salt and pepper. We're going to top it off for about 3 to 5 minutes, just until the potatoes are done. And we're ready. That could not be easier. I told you it's like really, really ancient fast food. So quick. Just to level up our sopa de fideo, as if, we're gonna top it off with some chunks of avocado and some chopped cilantro. This is the quintessential South Texas comfort food. I love this in the summer, I love this in the winter. It's always around and it always, always is delicious. Well, that's it for sopa de fideo. If you have any questions, you know you can message me at help@kitchenwrangler.com or send me a message through Pinterest, through Instagram, through Facebook, or through YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you get to know all of the great ranch recipes from here in South Texas. I'm Melissa Guerra, I'm the Kitchen Wrangler, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here at the ranch again soon. Bye now.